Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Jaquise Moore. I am the mother and the host of Learning with Jasmine. My daughter has autism. And we are here today. This is, oh my goodness, you guys. Come on now. I told you every time. I get so excited. Okay, so yesterday we started our chats about community support. So if you have not listened to it, please check it out from yesterday. And today we have another one, and we have so many other ones this month. So you guys always be on the lookout. So before we get started, I wanted she's a mom too, so you got to excuse but but you guys, we have to I have to really talk about this person right here before she introduced herself. So we met like 2 years ago and we just clicked. We are just like sisters by heart. And so I just know that it's going to be a blessing. You guys, I have watched her like um I'm about to get teary-eyed. With everything in the past 2 years, I have, even though we lived so far away from each other, but we are so close when it comes down to supporting each other. And I know she will be a blessing, you guys. So I want you to introduce yourself and your profession and tell me about that shirt, girl.
Okay, my name is Nyzia Easterling, and my profession really is a special education teacher for early childhood. However, I do own and operate a foundation called Grace Ministries. That's the shirt for children who are affected by trauma and grief. So we are a supplementary support program for children that are affected by trauma and grief. Originally, we were servicing children who had parents or siblings that was murdered in the city of Camden, which then expanded to Philadelphia. And then over the years, it was so many children coming that had other circumstances, but all was trauma based. I mean, they may have been molested, they may have been removed from a home and in foster care, or they might have different dual diagnoses that other people had a hard time dealing with, and then they felt like they weren't being understood. So it just expanded to just a trauma informed care situation. But everything is faith based, and we run off of faith-based curriculum for trauma healing therapy. So we do group therapy, one-on-one therapy. We do a lot of events in the community. We service their emergent needs. If there's a family that is emergent and need food, clothing, resources for shelter, funeral assistance, different things like that. So pretty much we do a whole lot. That's who I
Okay, I told you guys.
am.
Oh my goodness, if I cry on the very first time on my show, this is the time. Okay, because oh my goodness. Okay, so I know you have said basically the nutshell of my first question. So I want you to kind of dive into a little bit more of what you just said and what are you doing? What does it look like? Um, you have the trauma, you hear about the trauma, and then what's the first step and so on to make sure that the family knows that you care.
um Different, each situation is unique and different, so let's just give a couple scenarios. We are hand in hand partners with the prosecutor's office here where I live in the city of Camden, and also being connected to the prosecutor's office in Philadelphia. So when a murder takes place, I get a text to my phone and say, hey, there was, like, let's say here, I got a text yesterday or day before yesterday. Hey, there was a shooting on the Bergen area of the city. Victim shot 6 times, has now succumbed to injury. Noted there's 2 children in the family, something like that. So I get those type of texts whenever somebody dies from my administration. And then from there, it's like we then reach out and we get the information. We usually send like a card from Saving Grace Ministries, letting them know that we here, that we care. You know, it's a lot of times people in the community just know who I am, will just contact me like, okay, Nazia, we have a family, they need help doing whatever. If it's food for a repast, if it's, can you help us find a church? Is if it's do you know what the best funeral home for us would be? Or this is my budget and this is what I'm trying to work around. Or this mom has nothing, how can we fundraise? Or whatever the case may be. That's usually how you get connected to what we won't call a murder. Let's say that particular scenario. From there, and this is just children involved. Usually, I'm connected. So from there, that child is then signed up for the program. And usually, when the music stops, everybody goes away. You don't hear from people anymore once the funeral's over. So after the airbrush shirts fade away, we try to stay in the lives of the children. So we do their Christmas, their birthdays, anniversary, death dates if they're in school. And a lot of times the grief is not dealt with. They have behavioral issues. We called into the schools when they're acting up, or we make safety plans with the school to be a part of their safety plan with their IEP, and just travel along life journey with them until they're of age to be on their own, or they feel like they mastered the grieving process and they are successfully being productive in the community. So that's usually how a murder would take place. um, I am also connected with another agency where Ms. Gwendolyn Cook, whereas if there's a child that has been sex trafficked or trying to get out of sex trafficking, um, usually they connect the kids with us for the counseling piece of it, and we'll do trauma healing classes. And most of the time, their classes are age depicted, so they're in age groups. So we'll have a younger group set of kids, healing hearts, and then we'll have wounded soldiers, and then we'll have something called safe, and safe is like 16 and 24. So each group is a different age group. So we'll bring them together, and we have something like what we would think would be a Sabbath school lesson, but it's more so like a healing guide. And we go through different lessons of like building their trust back, accepting the loss, different things like that. And we'll go through 12-week cycles of dealing with whatever trauma they're into. So we do that with the sex trafficking victims through her. Um, I do work with DHS, so if children have been placed in foster care or they're in programs and they are having behavioral issues because no one is getting to the root of the issue, most times they reach out to me like, can they be a part of your healing group? I have a support group for my parents called Healing Matters. So even if they don't have a child in a program, but say for instance, they lost a spouse, they lost a mother, father, or it's an adult that they don't know how to deal with their grief. Um, they also sign up for Healing Matters. Right now we're virtual, so we do virtual groups. We do mental check-ins on Monday nights. Thursday we have worship together, and we have a daily check within on Facebook Messenger. So if anybody they put their prayer request in, if somebody's having a hard day, they say today's not a good day for me, and everybody will give encouragement or put prayers. And so we actually deal with the parents more on a daily basis, even if there's a parent who has a child who has been traumatized or have diagnosis that's very hard and frustrating, they can be a part of it. And they just say, like, today I'm having an issue with her, can y'all please pray for my child? And then we'll, wrap arms around that person. So each situation, like I said, is very unique in itself of how we would deal with the situation. Before the COVID, we have a community center in the city of Camden where our offices are, and every day we had a different group at night. So we have something called 365, which is daily opportunity for change for troubled boys.
Mm,
So there's boys that's going through trauma, or boys who are on the wrong track, like want to gang initiate or starting to get in trouble and stuff like that,
mm,
where we have people who have walked that side of life. There are asked gentlemen who went to jail or who have walked that part of life, who changed their lives around to come back and give back to the boys who are now going down the wrong path. So that's 365. That was on Mondays. Tuesdays we have I had my girls, and a lot of times we collaborated with a group called YGG, but it was for female empowerment. So letting the girl, it's called BU, And so it was letting girls know who they are and whose they are so they can more love and respect themselves. That was Tuesday. Um, Wednesday they did entrepreneurship. Thursday was Healing Hearts Matter. So Thursday was all trauma. They were just in different parts of the building. And then Friday was like social night. So we would have like game night. They would have movie night or something like that, and watch stuff with meaning, like courageous or overcomer, or and then we would have a lesson on it.
Mm.
Um, and then on Saturday mornings, I didn't run that program, but someone else did. One of my staff did. It's called Safe, and it was for 16 and 24, where they came together and they had trauma healing. So it was more so like a vent area where they can come and vent on what they were going through. What I
Mhm.
noticed this year, the most of it was sexual preference. A lot of them were battling with their sexuality this year. It just seemed like that's just what it was. So before we left, so that's what we would do. So we were pretty much working every day but Sunday. So every night we fed them dinner. And on the days we had them in the day, we feed them, lunch and stuff like that. Last summer we had summer camp and I had 72 kids a day, and they had summer camp every day. And then at night we still had trauma healing. So for those who returned, to come right back to do it all over again. So that's what we did. Once the COVID started, everything went virtual. And with the children now, I just have one healing Zoom on Thursday nights, just them. After yesterday, I think I have to add a night because just recapping yesterday. Yesterday, I had a drive-by love parade. So me and my staff decorated our cars with encouraging messages, and we went to 76 children yesterday, and we took them book bags with school supplies and food bags with like snacks and goodies and stuff like that.
I saw that.
They're remote, so it was like so emotional. I got stuck crying a couple of places before I could move on, but I didn't want to do that. But some of the kids, they'd be like, "Oh, I miss you so much." We had three children who just lost their parents this week. So they already had lost a parent, but then they lost the other parent this week. So when we get there, it was like tear jerking. Because I had three children whose mom passed away the night before last. And so when we get there, it was like something we didn't expect to walk into, but we just walked into it. And so holding all the kids and just crying, there was like something else, and just being there for them. Some kids I asked, like, I asked every kid, like, how was your first day of school? How was remote? Some started a couple weeks ago if they were in charter. And to hear some kids be like, oh, I like it at home because I'm not bullied. Like I don't have to deal with other kids.
Hmm.
That's a hurt piece because you don't even want to go to school because, you're being bullied. So sometimes when you have children that have special needs, they feel like the other kids make fun of them. And we have some that now have diagnosis just because of their trauma. So because I didn't know how to deal with my anger, or because I didn't know how to deal with what happened to me, the behaviors I distribute caused me to have an IP. It caused them to put me into contain classes or different things like that. So they walked into a whole nother life and world of being bullied and stuff like that. So for them to be like, oh, I like it, it's better for me. So some of them you feel like, okay, well, if this makes you feel safe and this makes your grades come up, I'm happy for that. But then, you see reality,
Yes.
it's
Hmm.
just real sad situation. So we did that yesterday, and all the kids was like, when can we open program? When can we open program? And I'm like, okay, well, because of the COVID, we still can't open right now. So everything has to be on the computer. Okay, well, can we get another link? Can we do another day? So they want to come on and do Zoom more. So I'm gonna have to
That's
figure
good.
out.
That's good.
I was really thinking about just not doing it anymore. And yesterday was like, I can't give up
Well,
on these kids.
and this is just a commercial break for you. When you do the Zoom, they have breakout sections in the Zoom. So you can actually do breakout sections. So it'd
Mm-hmm.
be like, different groups in one link. So
Mm-hmm.
just throw it out there right there. You don't have to do an extra link. But you guys, let's just swallow this. Let's just swallow this because I'm about to teary eyed. Like, so you're doing so much, and I've literally, this is the person. Let me. I Before I even saw on Facebook, before I knew about, uh, all the programs. We were actually in a meeting 2 years ago, and you were talking about the starting part. I know this is more personal, but
Mm,
I kind of want it to be drawn into that. Is that okay?
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Okay. Of how you actually got started with this program.
Hmm.
Is that okay for you to say that?
That's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so um, in 2002, I became an early widow in 2002. My first husband, I am remarried, was murdered in the city of Camden. And at that time, we was raising a child, and she was 9. It wasn't my birth daughter, but it was a daughter that we had from birth. Um, she was my aunt and uncle's child who we took as our own child and was raising her. He was shot 18 times, leaving 30 bullet holes, and we actually wrote up on it as he was getting off of work and locking the doors. He was a bouncer at a bar. It was a lodge. It's called American Legion. She was 9 years old. We were going to go pick him up from work, and it was some children that were gang initiating that shot him up because he wouldn't allow them to be inside the lounge. And so from that point, I did not hate those children. I wanted to know um, what is the missing link to make you so much want to be loved that you would take someone's life. I need to get to those children. And then children like her that was 9 years old that had to go to that trauma, there was no services to help her. Like no services for school, no services for as grief awareness or grief counseling, anything like that in my city. So anything you wanted to try to help with, we had to leave the city to get it. There was no housing. It was no type of resources at all. When these type of situations arose, there was nobody to help me. My husband was a very large man, so funeral services was even more. And so I had no help. As far as my church at that time was concerned, it was more so questioning why was somebody shooting that many times? Was he a drug dealer? Was he that? I mean, they had so many questions that my church turned their back on me completely. My pastor wasn't there at the time. My pastor was down in Oakwood. I think it was alumni weekend or something. And the treatment that I received, I did get an apology letter later on, but the treatment I received wasn't there. So it was like I felt like I was in a really dark place. I did wind up having a breakdown, nervous breakdown for a little bit. But when I came out of it, when I was telling the God, like, I need you to get me out of it, it was like I was behind glass and I was banging and banging and banging. I could not get out. When he brought me out of that, then I had to get 2 jobs just so that I can service her, make sure she had counseling. She wanted to do dance, or she wanted to do karate, whatever she wanted to do, she had to be in it. And I was like, I had to keep her mind occupied because that's what I thought would help her through her grief. So, and doing that so much for her, I got on work mode and I just overworked. And that's how I dealt with it. Not that it was a good thing because I had to deal with it later on, but this is how I dealt with it with her. And eventually it was just like, nah, you got to do something. Like, I can't let another family feel what I felt. And I know they're going to hurt. I can't take that part away. But everything extra that brought extra pain that could have been alleviated, how can I help this family to avoid that? So I sat down and I just wrote everything out of what I went through and what I needed and the resources that I needed. I folded it up and I put it in my Bible and I prayed on it. And I didn't do it right away. It took 7 years. And when God said go, I went. And then um, I picked up and I just started to research resources and I started to think about ways that I could be a helpmeet to all the families that had to suffer. And I went out of pocket. I didn't have, when I first started, it wasn't a 501c3. It wasn't a nonprofit organization. It was a support group. I said, I'm going to start my own support group. And then starting a support group, I was being there for families. I might have had serviced 30 families. And I got to about 30 families. I met a man in the library. His name was John. And he was like, "You need to make this a nonprofit." He was like, "What's your mission? What's your vision?" He was like, "I can help you." And I didn't know this man.
Wow.
He was just in the library, and he was listening to me talking to someone else. And when I got done, he said, asked me, "Can he speak to me?" And he gave me all these different pointers, and he helped me write my mission and vision, and he helped me do my first brochure. And this is like a stranger in the library.
Wow.
Um, and then from there, it's like, okay, I think I can do this. And then I started writing down the different things that I know I need as far as resources and what I know she needed, because it took a lot to get her back to herself. She was a straight A student, a very people person, high maintenance, life of drug drive, like fashion, like everything. And then she went to, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to come out of my room. I don't want to get dressed. I don't want to do, she didn't want to do anything. And to get that fire back, and then she wound up graduating valedictorian from high school, going away to
Mhm.
college.
Mhm.
She's married now. She married someone he's in the military, so she's on a base now in Tennessee. I got a grandson. He's one, too. But it's just to see how she was able to master the trauma that she came through and what we walked up on at 9 years old, and to hear those shots ring out. And she was really, it really was hard for her to see her turn around. That took a lot of work to make sure that that happened. So I was like, I got to make sure that other kids are not succumbed by their circumstances. So how can I make my tragedy a triumph? And basically I started doing that, and I made the tragedy a triumph. And from there, I I operated for many years until um, I want to say 2016. I said it, I got my 501c3 and made it an official nonprofit. From there, I still only operate on donations from people. Or if I'm doing something, I'll put up and post and say, "This is my need," and people give to it. I have not um, been granted or worked off a grant or any like that. Everything has been donation still. And I think part of me, think that that's a blessing from God, because when you start to accept a lot of federal grants and funding, there's some altars that you have to do to your program. And for me,
Mhm.
I want God to remain the center of that. So for them to know that whichever way you worship, that God is real, and that this is the only thing, He's the only comforter that can get you through what you're going through. So
Yes.
any type of coping mechanism that you think you can go and hold to is not going to subside. It's not going to help you do it like God will. So to keep them in the center and to keep them with hope and that drive to want to live and want to do better, you have to center that back to God. And
Mm.
so if not, you have a harder time. So a child that doesn't believe, or a child that is atheist, or a child who is angry with God, because I have a whole bunch of them coming angry with God. I got one now that was very into church, and right now she's angry with God, so she's fighting her own demons. But to see them go through that, and to identify to them that you have more pain when you don't trust Him, and to show them physically, mentally, emotionally, it really makes the difference in their lives. So for me, making my tragedy a triumph, it helped me through my grief. This helped me to get through my grief as well, and to give hope to so many other people. And I just thought I had it down pat. Last year I lost my mom, and it kicked me backwards, and I was like, wait a minute. What did I do before? Like, I had to revisit. I mean, I was in a dark place for a long time over that. And then I said, you know what? Nah, this is not what she wanted. In fact, the day my mom had died, well, had the heart attack, and my mom say she died. I had on life support for 3 days, but that same week we had just 3 weeks before my mom died. Every week we had a death in our family. And this last week, my cousin was killed. He was shot in his head, and I sat with him and had church with him. I sang with him. I had a pastor come in, and to make sure that his call and election was short. And when we did that, I was like, I'm not leaving until he takes his last breath. And me and my mom was on FaceTime because she took my kids home, and we stayed until his closing hour. When I finished his funeral and repast, my mom was really bewinded. She was like, you know, life has got the best of me. I'm tired. But mom had been sick for years. But at this point, she was like, I'm really tired. I'm not going to be here long. And I was like, don't talk like that. You know, I don't want to hear it. But she really knew. And she was like, my heart can't take no more. I was going to, I was getting master certified. It's called a master facilitator for grief counseling for trauma therapy. And I was like, well, I'm not going to go to the class now. You know, I think I'll just wait and I'll just stay home. You don't need my kids. You know, you don't need to be, you know, we don't need to do this. And she was like, no, I'm fine. You need to go. You work so hard to get here. I really want you to do that. This is your life calling. I live my life. It's your turn. I want you to do that. Like, nah, I do that. God is saying do that. And so I'm like, you sure? She's like, yeah, I'm sure. So I didn't give her my kids. My husband took the kids, and we all went to Atlantic City because that's where the classes was at. As soon as I get there, I get a call that my nephew got shot. This is my sister's youngest son. He was 14, got shot on the basketball court. I didn't know how to call to my mom because I knew she already said she was through. And eventually I called her. And my mom did a scream that was like a purging. Like she screamed. And she was like, I will not live to bury my grandchildren. I'm not doing that. She said, I've been through enough and now I'm not living to bury my grandchildren. And she was like, nah, I want you to ace this test. I want you to do the best you could do because all of them are going to need you because I'm not going to be here. And I was like, Mom, she was like, yeah, just call me when your class is over. When I got out of the class, I went to my room and I talked to her on the phone. So about 3 o'clock in the morning, she was very wounded. And I was like, you need to go to the doctor. She was like, when I go to the hospital, I'm not coming back out. That was her words. And I was like, no, Mom, you really need to go to the doctor. You can't walk from your bed to the bathroom. She's like, no, I'm just stay in the bed and I'm gonna just rest. So I'm like, okay, I'm studying for board because I got to take the board test in the morning time. When I hung up the phone, I studied till I fell asleep with the book in my lap. About I don't know what time of morning it was, maybe 6 or something like that. My phone had died. I put it on the charger and just went to sleep. I never paid my phone no more, no mind. She was texting me, but I couldn't see it because I was sleeping. She
Mm.
was texting me all these sad faces saying, I'm dying. I'm not feeling well. I'm really sick. All these sad faces, crying faces and stuff like that. So my aunt calls me, like, you need to get to the hospital. Your mom had a heart attack. It's not looking good. I got to the hospital, and to me, she was gone already. They said hearing is the last thing that goes. So I said what I had to say, but I knew that she wasn't coming back to me. Um, my nephew did make it; he was fine. But that was the day I lost my mother. So she was on life support because I wasn't there. Because when they got her from here, from the house, they incubated her from home.
Mm.
So they wasn't supposed to. My mom had a DNI and a DNR. She didn't want anything. And so that's because she'd been through it so many times. She said this time she just wanted to go for what's her time to go, but they did it. So they had her on ice when I got there. So they said, oh, we have to warm her back to normal body temp before we can, let her go. Got a neurologist looking to see if it's any brain activity. Never was anything. So I called my pastor and the elders of my church so we can have church around that bed and so we can let her go. And they told me I had to wait till Monday morning. So that's what I did. I went back while my mom was on life preserve. Nobody understood it. My family was upset. Said I'll be back. I went back that morning to take the test.
Mm.
I took the test. I told my testimony. My mom's not well. She's on life preserve. I go back. I just came to take the test because my mom told me I had to. And she told me that I had to get 100 on test. She told me I had to master this test. And I was on it for my mom. Now I'm in a whole different trance, but I know this is what I'm saying to everybody. I goes back to the hospital. Monday morning, Kobe Medlock and everybody, all my elders, everybody came. My family was surrounded me. We had church. My mom had no response this whole time. When we had church, it was the first time tears fell from her eyes. And I knew that she was telling me that it was going to be okay in a sense. And so when we got done and it was time for me to cut the machine off, I when the doctor said, when I cut this machine off, she's going to go in 60 seconds. I said, okay. Well, she might just go right away. Like her heart's not working. I'm like, okay. Cut the machine off. And it was actually a 60-second countdown because her heart was at 60. And it
Mm.
actually was a countdown. And at the end of it, she took her last breath. It was like you felt the angel of God just lift her spirit. Like that's how I felt at that time. My teacher came in. No, not my teacher. My girlfriend Shakira came in and she put my test in my hand. And what did my test say?
100.
100, 100%. I passed it. And so I knew then
Mm-hmm.
that
Confirmation that you'll
confirmation
be all right.
that I was supposed to do
Mm-hmm.
what I had put out to do. And it's been hard, especially through COVID. And I wanted to quit. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do a saving grace anymore. I mean, I can't keep consistent staff because you have to be a certain type of person to deal with grief on a daily basis. Like, you can't deal with it all the time on a daily basis because it will succumb you. And if you're an emotional person, it will tear you to pieces. So I have a high turnover of staff. Like, but those same people be like, I'll give though. I'll give juices, waters, clothes, food, whatever you need. I'm there if you need me to do a repast or something, but I can't do this every day. I don't know how you do this every day. I can't watch a kid every day. I can't do this to these adults every day. So it is very hard. It takes a certain individual to be able to do it every day. So I can't get upset, but it's hard for me to keep staff consistently the same staff. Let's say that. So I will rotate staff. I'll have some to be there for months and then some you won't see for months and then some they'll come back for months and then you don't see for months and stuff like that because it's a lot emotionally to handle and we have so many deaths and so many kids. Even through COVID, like I said, we had a parent murdered last night, a parent murdered the night before. We had a mother OD. So it was like you have all these traumas that consistently continue, but now the kids are isolated with it.
Hmm.
And then they don't have their friends and they don't have their their staff members called program assistants. They don't have them. They don't have their social workers to be there to guide them through it. So now you isolated. You're in the house, and you don't know what's going on in the house. Some of them come from very dysfunctional homes, and it's a whole bunch of things going on in the home. And then some come from homes that they're not getting those meals like they would get if they were with us. And so much goes on that staff is hard to keep. And so it'd be frustrating because I want to be there, help me, and I want to be there, but I'm one person, so it's like I'm always doing something, and so sometimes it gets overwhelming. Like I said in my house yesterday, and I did 76 the night before. I did 76 school bags, and I did 76 food bags by myself. So it's a lot at times, but it's like it. The end result is like so self rewarding, but when you're going through it, the enemy will play tricks on you and you will be so like, all right, this is just enough. Like I've done enough. Like this is super draining. Or if you come short, it's a lot come out of pocket that you really can't afford.
Okay, I'm
And
gonna
it's
stop you right here. I'm gonna stop you right here. This is a commercial break, you guys, and I want you when we're done, I want you to post your information about Saving Grace Ministries on the comments below. What can the community do? What do you need right now, or how can the community help you with Saving Grace Ministry? This so that means
well,
on your comment, make sure you put that Cash App, everything that you need. But what can the community do right now?
what the community can do first and foremost is pray. Like the kids, the families, the parents. First of all, is prayer because it's only two things the enemy got left, and that's his joy, and that's your faith and your family. So it's like everything else is up in the uproar. So the main thing is prayer. Second, if anybody want to contribute, they can donate to our cash app. They can send checks to Saving Grace Ministries INC. Um, if they want to, I'll put the address. They can donate that way. Also, like, see, you're far from me, but anyone in New Jersey, they can always volunteer at different events, such as what we did yesterday. We have volunteers, or come on sometimes to some of our Zooms that we have that's open, that's non confidential, and just see some of the kids and just hear some stories and give them some words of encouragement. Support Matters is even an open forum on our Thursday nights. You can come on and join the worship. And our Zooms, I always post our open Zooms on my page where they can come on and, you can hear some stories. You can hear people's testimonies. You can give encouragement to them as well. There's always families, and I'm not going to say I don't have a week where there's no at least two or more funerals. So anybody want to donate to that, if it's food, if it's cases of water or juices, anything, everything matters. Whatever you feel as though might be the smallest thing, a case of water, you might think, oh, that's $3. You might think that that's nothing. That's a lot to a family that has nothing.
Hmm.
And so any little thing helps. I mean, we do encouragement cards all the time. Where we go, you can go to dollar store and get an 8 pack of cards for $1. You want to buy 5 or 10 packs and send it, because we send them out all the time. You can do that. um, Go on our website, leave some encouraging words to the kids. Our Facebook pages, our hashtag is at Saving My Hood, but our page is called Saving Grace, but our hashtag is at Saving My Hood. You can go on there and comment sometimes on the things I put up for kids. I put up when they doing good in school, or if a child is in need. Like, we have a college student now. She came to us. Her the father that was raising her was killed. Her real father was incarcerated, and her mom is suffering from sarcoidosis, something that I have, and she was really sick. But she came a long way. She has dual diagnoses too, but she came from failing back to a straight A student, and she began to, once she was through trauma healing, to get back to the kids, and now she's in college, and she need help with books, and she need help with some of her college, so she's trying to raise $1,100. So I put something up on our page for that. If anybody wanted to donate to her Cash App, I put her Cash App up on there. So different. It's always ways that the community can jump in and help. So.
Okay. Tell you guys, swallow this, revisit this, rewatch this, pray about this, and go from
Yeah.
there. Now, the last thing is, now we have that, we have Saving Grace Ministries, but you guys, I told you, this whole month is all about listening to keywords and then trying to figure out, like, okay, I have they, she has Saving Grace Ministry. I can do this. I could do that. It's all about building the community together. So, what ways can you can you get name ways others can get involved in their community, and like what advice can you give to at the end? I want you to talk to what ways, what encouragement can you give to families who are dealing with trauma? Those are who are listening. Okay,
When
those are
you when you're dealing with trauma, or if you're not dealing with trauma, just well, it's trauma now, just going through the COVID. Um, there are many ways you could be a change agent in your community. I tell, like, some of my younger children, um, if they wanted to start to be able to be a change agent, they can do community town halls themselves. Call a meeting in their community and have everyone to come together and ask the comments of, or even if it's people your age, what's lacking in our community, how can we change that together. So I encourage my teenagers to do that sometimes. Have block cleanup, your own block that you live on. Put something in everybody's door on your block that said, this day we're going to clean our block together. Let's plant flowers together, and make it a block effort. If every block did that, your community would be much better. Let's team together and do certain things. As far as the dark place that a lot of people are in due to COVID, just such as what you're doing, your own platform, create a platform. Like, especially the Zoom is a wonderful thing, and it's other platforms such as this. You can even do call through Messenger and call groups of people. Set up a group. They got new rooms that you can create those safe spaces. And make those safe spaces for a certain demographic of people. So it could be grandmothers raising grandchildren. It could be mothers such as yourself, mothers having children with autism. It could be mothers raising children with physical disabilities. Whatever your platform is that's special to you, what you go through yourself, your passion is most likely your best success platform. So if you're going through something yourself, then you incorporate something that helped you to help someone else. So you give back that way. So create your own platform, have your own support groups. It could be a mother that lost a child. Hey, I want to have a support group for women who went through what I went through. It could be an illness, let me start my MS team. Let me start my sarcoid team. Let me start my sickle cell team, whatever that you're going through, because on top of what you're going through, you're still living in a isolated, secluded time because of what we're going through with COVID-19. So it's many different ways that you can be a helpmeet to the community. If you see people in your community that are in dire need, or you might see, like I said, a grandparent that might be raising kids or someone else, as a community, go around, get people that's not in a card, and just, you never know, that one card to say, you know what, people
Mm.
around here care about me. We were giving out free water ice a couple weeks ago, and I was at a park, and I'm going back to this lady. And I'm like, would you like free water ice? The little people that's walking down the street, we giving kids free water ice. So this old lady was sitting across the street, and I was like, would you like a water ice? And she was like, no, no, thank you. And I'm like, okay. So I goes back and sit down. She comes back over to me, and she was like, did you say that that was free water ice? And I was like, yeah, would you like mango, strawberry, And so she was like, okay, sure. And she was like, when I brought that water ice back to her, she said, I've lived here for 70 years, 71 years, she said. No one has ever offered me something free here, ever. And I gave her the icy, and I'm like, wow, really? I said, oh, I said, well, I'm glad that I could be a blessing to you in some kind of way, because I know it's hot out here and you're sitting outside. And she was like, yeah, I'm sitting outside. I don't want to be in the house. I'm always in the house. He said, secluded. She said, I don't want to go into a dark place. She said, this is my house. And next door to my house, this was my son's house. She said, last week I found my son dead in there. She said, God told me, go check on your son. She said, he just left, gave me some chicken because he knows I like chicken, but something, I don't know. God said, go in there, check on your son. She said, and when I went in there, he had went to meet his maker. He was gone. He was on the floor and he was dead. And she said, and since then, I've just been trying to make sense of things because I'm so old of why God took my son before me. And we began to talk. And just that moment that you see that she had no one to talk to and she was going through this by herself, but just a water ice, like, we were able to bring some joy to her. And I said, oh, this will not be the last time you see me, Miss Jones. I'm coming back, and I plan to go back. I was gonna get her fruit basket made this week and just go back to visit because she's sitting on that step, and I just noticed that when you ride by, she's always outside. But just that moment, she just
Mm.
lost her son, didn't know anything about it, and then to say, like, thank you so much, like, nobody ever given me nothing for free. You talking 71 years, they look like she's about 90. She looked like she's very old. And so you tell me all your life nobody offered you anything. But the realistic thing is some people are like that. And it's like, now it's like, how can we show, ultimately, how can you show love to the next person? And this part, at this point, we have to get back to that love component because it's so missing in every part of our lives right now. It's racism going on, and then you have the police brutality, and then you have everything that you watch on the news is so depressing. And you're like, okay, well, how can I put love back into this dark world? How can I put love back into that? You're not going to do it if you don't have the love of Christ. But I'm saying you have to put love back in there. So how can we do that? Bring some joy and some life, some light, some love back into your community, whatever way you got to do it. I mean, it's hard to do events, but sometimes even with the COVID, put your mask on and have everybody, you say, oh, if I'm 5 to 7, and we want everybody to come out and sit on your own step with your mask. We all 6 feet apart because you're on your own step, and just be outside so we can see that the community is still okay. Whatever way you can think about it. I mean, every neighborhood is kind of different. Even if you live in an apartment complex, write a nice, encouraging word on a sticky note and stick it on your neighbor's door. Even if you couldn't afford to buy them something, just that note to say, hey, from apartment 12, we just send in love, put a heart on it. You never know what somebody else needs. So basically.
Oh my goodness. Oh, from Jersey to Maryland, I felt that, you guys. I really did, and I told you guys the very first time I met her, I was like, "That's my sister. That's
We
my
are
sister."
every
And we
time.
are sisters, you guys. We are sisters. Okay, you guys. So that was a lot, but that was so needed. That was so needed, and I want to thank you for your
You're welcome.
time.
Thank you
Always.
for the invite.
Yes, girl. Oh my
I
goodness.
have
Yes,
these.
Saving Grace Ministry.
So
And so
we have two of these shirts. This is our regular logo shirt, and then we have one that says "Grieving Apart Together" as a hashtag shirt, and they're $20. You can also get those as well. So,
whatever you have for Saving Grace Ministry, I want you to post it on the comments below.
okay.
Okay? And any questions, any contact information, definitely put that under so that you can the viewers can contact you if need be. Okay. So you guys, woo, we got we got to hold on to that. Okay, so this month again, this is talking about community support. This is this is number two. This is number two, you guys. We have so many other information, so many other uh, and then let me look at my notes because I had it written out. Okay, so next week we actually have two on Friday. We have next week two on Friday. We have one who is actually a mother of a child who has autism. So she will be talking about support and advocate in her community and how, it's not just me now, another parent who is actually going to be talking about resources available. And then that was at 10 o'clock a.m. Friday, September 18th at 10 o'clock a.m. And then the next one will be around 11 o'clock, will be about another person. We'll actually be talking about nutrition. Okay. And then we're going to continue on with Monday at 11 o'clock. Another parent will be talking to us in his community about autism. And then our last panel discussion will be talking September 30th at 11 o'clock. And she actually has a program called the Love Project. And so the Love Project, she will be talking. So it's so many other opportunities. Please definitely look on Learning with Jasmine page, videos of past interviews. We want to thank you, girl. We want to thank you for your time and your words and your passion. I think that's what everybody is feeling, your passion. And that's why I was like, okay, let me ask. And we can see your passion. We can hear your passion. And so I definitely want to give you a hug, virtual hug. And yes, thank you. All right, you guys, until next time. All right.
Thank you so much for
Bring
having me.
Spread a little love. That's what I
Good.
heard. That's what I heard.
Your love.
Spread love around the community.
That's it.
All right, you guys. Bye bye.
Bye.